Well, everybody, it's July 3rd and it's really humid again. Monday and Tuesday were really humid, and yesterday and today were actually beautiful days outside, but the humidity has crept down here into the basement and is kind of here to stay. So even though it's a little cooler down here, it's still kind of miserable. But I just spent about 20 minutes or so scrubbing away in the parts washer. And that's the bracket assembly that supports both the motor and the gearbox on the overarm for the Vernon lathe. And that was really filthy, and a big part of the reason why that was so filthy was because the gearbox, I believe the gearbox actually leaks. So that's something I'm going to definitely want to rectify. It's filthy also, so I'm going to clean. First I'm going to clean up that gearbox, and then I'm going to see if I can't figure out where oil might be leaking out of that thing. Well, the closer I get to completing reassembly of the Vernon here, the fewer parts I have laying around. And I kind of like that. That's that many less items I have the potential of misplacing. So keeping in that vein of thought, I'm going to put this that I cleaned up. This is a little locking latch. It's actually held on to the front of the carriage here with this square bolt. And what this does is, when you bring the carriage all the way back here, you can flip this up, and actually that will engage this thread stop right here, which I believe is used for cutting tapered threads, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly, but so that's just we'll just put that there. Don't have to worry about losing that. And then there's this little cross piece right here that actually goes up in the middle here and screws on from underneath there. And that's just this is just another bar that is there to stop the carriage from trying to lift up during a well, let's see, when it's cutting, it's actually probably got a lot of downforce on it, but I'm sure there are situations where it's going to try and lift. So put this on. This does have definitely a difference in the way it goes in. Move the carriage down so I'm going to get this other bolt in. Alright, so let's see. If I'm just going to temporarily put one of the bolts in. And I'm going to see exactly how this lines up. So if I hold this piece under here in line with that bolt, that looks like it pretty much, this wear line looks like it matches the edge of the underside of the way there. Whereas on this side, this doesn't look as worn. This definitely looks like it's been rubbed on the other side of the way. This looks like it hasn't. So that's got to be how that goes. So I'll put this on. I'm not positive, but I think I recall reading in that old South Bend book that I was using as a guide for the clearance on these cone pulley bearings, headstock bearings. I think I recall reading about this this type of a bar on the backside here on the South Bends, the early South Bends, that essentially you tighten that up just so that started to have a drag on it, I guess. It wasn't exactly very scientific. In other words, if I tighten this down too tight, I believe it's going to actually end up having a clamping effect and inhibit the travel of the carriage. You know, I think I want a longer extension. Alright, so I just snugged that one. Alright, now I just snugged that one. That feels fine. So I don't think that cross clamp here works anywhere near as tight as this back one does. Alright, now they're tight. Let's see if that made a difference. Nope. Okay, we're good. Alright, let's get a quick gander at this before I knock off for the evening. This thing's so filthy I gotta put gloves on again. This thing's so filthy I gotta put gloves on again. Anyways, I was tempted to just throw this whole thing in the parts washer and clean all the dirt off the outside before attempting to open it up. But I'm concerned about this pulley. This is the pulley that the leather belt rides on, and I think it's wooden. So I really don't want to get this pulley in the parts washer. But I also have no idea how this is supposed to come off of here, because, well, the light's not so great over here, so you guys probably can't see what I'm looking at, but I don't see what holds this pulley on. It almost looks like it's just pressed on, but I know they can't be relying on just a press fit. So there must be something I'm missing here as far as the way this... Oh, here we go, right here. Got a hole right there. Bet you there's something down that hole that locks this on there. But I don't know what. Far enough down I can't see it. Alright, it's a regular head screw. But it's big enough that I don't want to use this precision screwdriver to try and turn it. This is going to call for just the right size. Large enough so that I can get a good grip on that screw. It's small enough to fit in this hole, and this is the one that seems to be doing it. Alright. I don't know whether or not I just need to loosen this screw or completely remove it. Betting I don't have to completely remove it, that I could probably get away with just loosening it like I did. Let's see. So now we're going to need a puller. We need something to go underneath this. It's keyed to the shaft, I can see that. Oh, that actually comes off easy. Wow. Alright, that was nice. Good. I don't have to worry about taking this pulley, which, by the way, on the back here says Browning of Maysville, Kentucky. And it's got this metal plate on the back and a metal plate on the front here. And then it looks like it's got some special fasteners, almost like rivets. And I'm betting that they go right through this whole thing, and then this looks like it's a sandwich of several pieces of wood. So this must be how they did it back in the old days. I think it's wood. I also understand that I believe a lot of these early pulleys were paper. This could actually be, all of these little striations here could just be layers and layers and layers of paper that's compressed together in this fashion. I don't know. But the cleaner Browning Maysville marked side goes towards the inside. I don't think that's going to make a difference, but just in case it does. Also the side that has the hole with the set screw was closer towards the... Alright, good. So now I can put this in the parts cleaner. But before I do, this is a perfect opportunity to take a good look at, you know, where it looks like it may have been leaking. I think it was leaking in more than one place, quite frankly. So one obvious possibility is I can see a shaft seal right here. But oddly enough, that actually doesn't look too bad. But it might be worth changing that shaft seal while I've got this all apart, as opposed to waiting to find out that it leaks after I clean it all up. Well, we'll see. The other possibility is each one of these plates right here that's removable, there must be some sort of a gasket or something behind them. It's possible that you've got some leakage from that. There's also a threaded pipe plug here and a threaded pipe plug here, two identical small ones. When you see two pipe plugs like this, one right next to the other, set up like this, that more than likely is for checking the level of the oil in the gearbox. It could quite well be that you're supposed to pull this bottom plug to drain the gearbox, because that one's right at the bottom. And it could be that you're supposed to remove this top plug and put oil in the gearbox until oil starts coming out here, and that might be the way that you tell if there's enough oil in there. I haven't seen a sight glass on this anywhere yet. I could probably Google the manufacturer of the gearbox and maybe get some information. You got the input shaft on this side also has a seal. That's another potential leak point. You got a couple of these what look like rods coming out with nuts on them, and there's one on the opposite side. It looks like it's in the same position, so I don't know if that goes all the way through. So these little threaded plugs, I'm going to probably want to put Teflon tape on those after I take them out, clean them, put them back in. There appears to be signs of leakage around this handle where it goes in right there. As a matter of fact, when I flex this like this, I could see oil behind there. So whatever seals this, where the shaft goes through here, seems like that might have an issue. The other possibility is the gearbox may have been overfilled. If this is the high limit, you could see that they just want, you know, it's possible they just want oil sitting this high in there and somebody may have filled it up way too high. On the top back here, there's a 90-degree elbow, pipe elbow, with a pipe plug in the top of it. The pipe plug is drilled out with a hole. So that's a vent hole. Now I'm not sure if somebody did that later or if that was original. I can understand the purpose of the vent hole. They've got it way up high here, so oil's not going to want to come out of that unless you really overfilled the box. But if you don't have the vent on top there, what can happen is you've got oil in there and you've got an airspace in there. And as the gearbox is running, friction's going to generate some heat in there. And you could start generating enough heat, or even if it just gets hot in the workshop area, or temperature changes in the workshop area, or the motor, electric motor being in close proximity to it, whatever. The point is, temperature rise is going to increase pressure inside the gearbox if you don't have a vent. And that could easily force oil out through areas where it could, you know, leak. So it's a good idea for the vent to be there. But where this threads into the back of the box, I'm going to want to make sure that that's good and sealed with some pipe sealant or Teflon tape. So I think that about covers it. Oh, so before I quit for the night, those of you who are wondering who makes this gearbox, this is a Turner Unidrive of something Kansas. It almost looks like it says Terrace, T-E-R-R-A-C-E, Kansas. Oh, that's the street address. Something, there's a number, and it says Terrace, Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, okay. This is the Turner Unidrive Company of Kansas City, Missouri. There's actually a model number on this box too. It's this is a model 204, and it looks like a space 29, and then it looks like maybe RF. Anyways, and there's a chart here. So it's a combination of changing this lever and this lever to different positions to get you different drives. Looks like one handle just has left or right, and the other handle has 3 positions maybe. Not sure. What it all comes down to is, it comes down to that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 speeds here and 4 ratios. So this is a 4-speed gearbox when all is said and done. Maybe that's only a 2-position handle and a 2 left and right, and then 1 and 2. That would give you your 4 combinations. I don't know. Turner Unidrive. I'll have to look that up. Well, it's 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and I just finished cleaning up the gearbox and the parts washer. So, pretty good job of cleaning it, I think. Most of the paint, I think, was already missing on the thing, and what paint was left on there, a lot of it came off during the cleaning. But c'est la vie. So, I made a point of when I was cleaning it to make sure that I didn't splash parts cleaner onto that little tiny vent hole in the top, which I think is the only real opening on this thing other than any leak points. And I didn't really blast the parts washer fluid stream directly onto anything because, well, quite frankly, I don't keep the pressure up too high because I don't like being showered with parts cleaner. So I'm going to let that drip dry, and meanwhile, I did go on the company's, I did Google this, and it turns out this company's still in business. This company's still making drives today, and as a matter of fact, they're still making drives that look exactly like this one. And I think the company said, I think something about the history of the company mentioned something about making them since like 1933 or somewhere in the 1930s, I think. So that tells me that obviously this drive came after the lathe. Since we've determined the lathe is somewhere around 1915, I guess this was added on later. But that bracket, I don't know if that was added on at the same time when they put the drive on, or whether or not this is the second drive on the unit. I also found out, I forget what the spec was, but I found out the proper lubricant for it. I'm probably going to end up using gear oil, hypoid gear oil, because I have quite a bit of it. Some people may think that's a bad idea, but I got a feeling that it's going to be a big upgrade over what's in that box now, which I haven't drained out. I don't even know how much fluid's in there, if there's any in there, what it looks like, yada yada yada. I was just gonna show you a close-up shot of what I found on the other side there, but it's the other output, the other shaft. But I'll just show you on this one here, where the lip seal is right there at the bottom of the shaft. There's rust staining on the other side. So whatever was leaking out of that box was causing rust, so there may have been water even that somehow got in there. Maybe at some point in this lathe's life it was actually left outside, although it didn't really have the kind of rust. Yeah, I know a guy who left it outside. Alright, so I think while that's drip drying, I guess maybe I'll mount the bracket assembly, which I cleaned a couple days ago and has had enough time to dry. So this bracket is pretty neat. This obviously is original to the, well, at least original, not necessarily to the lathe, but to the whole conversion system there with that big back arm. What we got is the motor sits on this plate here, which I don't know if it comes from the fact, I imagine you probably drill this and tap this once you've decided on the motor you want to use. And it's not just a regular plate. So it's got to be original to this assembly because it's got these big castings that actually go down right here and allow this whole thing to pivot on this rod. Now, somewhere on here, yeah, here it is. There's actually one on each side. Underneath here, there's actually a bolt with a nut on it. And the nut's purpose is to lock it so that it doesn't move once you set it. And then the bolt, as you back it out, is the head of the bolt's gonna push up on the plate. Okay. So the idea is that by adjusting both of them just right, you can change this angle of this plate. The motor sits here, and the shaft runs this way. So what happens is, if you've got a problem with the belt alignment, you can actually adjust it this way, which is pretty sweet. So here's our mount, and that pin's going to go through here. That whole assembly is going to swivel like this, and that bolt, you can actually see there's indentation marks here on this casting where the end of that bolt's been banging probably as it vibrates and moves a little bit. And all that holds that pin in are a couple of set screws. I was going to say that this is actually going to be up like this, and I was just leaving it like this so it would be kind of out of my way. And I just came to the realization that there's not enough clearance to allow this to hinge past the top of this casting on this arm. In other words, I'm going to drive the pin out, put this up on top, hold it kind of horizontal and drive the pin in, which will be a little more difficult. Difficult, but not impossible. Oh, I need a pin to drive that out. Let's see if that's far enough. Oh, you know what's happening? This is actually hitting the guard here. Alright. So if you slide this over farther, then it's not hitting the eye, then it's just actually not able to hinge over, so it wasn't just that. Heck, that hole is. Casting's completely in the way of me seeing it. Oh, actually, I'm going to go on the back side here. There we go. That's it. It's in. Oh! Just scraped the inside of my arm on the corner of this plate. This motor adapter plate, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, so when the drive is on here, of course, it's going to put weight on it, and it's going to hold it down like this, definitely. And then you can see the adjusting bolt here. So that's how you adjust the tension of that leather belt. Alright, and we'll do that. That's that for now.